What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Schwen Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Corey, here with my good friend, Ray. Ray, say hello to the people.
What's up, fellas and ladies?
If you guys are familiar with the group, you've seen Ray around. He's all about. And we're going to talk some sports. So I'm just going to get right into it. I wanted to lead this off with talking about the NFL injuries because obviously it's the topic of the week. We lost the whole entire 49ers team. Like, so like, I don't.
Rest in peace.
What I want to know is, are we thinking this is more of a conditioning thing or an anomaly? Because if you think about it from the old days, what did they say? They wanted to cut down on preseason games, activities. The players union fought for this type of stuff, and now we're saying that a direct result is injury. So which one is it? Like, that's what's confusing me. Like, I don't know.
Well, my opinion is, there's over 150 players on IR so far this season. We're only 2 weeks in.
Wow.
I would say it's a combination of both, man. We got, limited preseason is one thing, but not getting hit until game one. And I also like to think that a lot of these guys that are getting hurt, like my favorite player, Von Miller, he was doing too much in the offseason. I mean, he was just not with a team on his own, just doing way too much. And then,
He's doing like
couldn't take it.
Doing all kinds of like strange workouts, like I don't know that he shouldn't be doing, like skateboarding or whatever.
Well, I don't know. He was like doing hooking himself up to like doors and doing sit-ups and stuff, and going outside, and I don't know, just climbing mountains and crap. And it's just like, I mean, I'm happy. The dude looks shredded, but his Achilles couldn't keep up with him.
Yeah, it's like CrossFit going wild, pretty much. Yeah. Something like that. Well, have you heard, like, I guess I haven't been following much college, but, like, has college had the same problem, or I don't know.
Well, the thing with college, I mean, I didn't know we were going to touch on college yet, but I guess my take on college is nobody's playing anybody yet. They're all playing, like, they're giving Kent State, Tuscarawas $1 million to go play some top guy,
Yeah.
So it's
yeah, true. It's still no weeks, but still, you would think that's still a level.
They're not getting hit hard.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm sure that'll show. I'm sure that'll show when they start playing. When Ohio State and these guys come back, and they might be doing it the right way. They're a little younger, less wear and tear on the bodies. Because even though rookies are getting hurt this year, it's just not. That's normal for the NFL for rookies to have this problem, but not at this level. But we're doing pretty good with rookies at this point, and we'll see how it goes, man. I mean, maybe this is it. Maybe this is their preseason. Week 3, we're good to go.
Yeah, I just I guess I haven't been following college at all. I just thought maybe, there might be some type of like correlation. But you're probably right. Bigger, stronger, faster, the best of the best in the NFL, so more injuries. But when you have like non-contact stuff.
Yeah, not even that though. Like, so you're looking at, like, we talk about IR and all these hurt players, but a lot of these also have to do with the new, they're implementing the 3-week IR.
Yeah.
So some of these guys would just be like, oh, I'm out for a couple games, or I'm out for one game, but like, let's not worry about it. Just go on the 3-week IR, and they could just have, like a sprained ankle or something that they could have played in a week.
Yeah, that's true. I guess just like the 49ers game was like so insane. Did you see that they're going to like investigate the turf now about it?
Yeah, Turfgate, baby, Turfgate.
I absolutely love it. You know who played there week 1, right?
No, who's that?
Big Ben. And you know what he likes? They said the turf was sticky. I'm not going to say anything at all because I think he's a changed man. But
yeah, that's good stuff right there.
I thought you were
going to say something about Tom Brady cheating, and I was like, that's how he is. He cheats.
Yeah,
different
Bill
scenery, same cheater.
Because they're in the division, he just like dumps glue all over the stadium or whatever.
Gotcha.
But I think, or maybe like Sam Darnold finally like got to second base with that chick he was kissing that gave him mono, and like he got a little bit too excited, whatever. I don't know. The sticky turf is hilarious. I laughed really hard whenever I saw that. Like, what's going to come of that? You want to talk about wasting money? Imagine the amount of money that's going into an NFL Players Association investigation and NFL investigation on the sticky turf in the New York Jets. You know what they're going to conclude? It might be a little sticky, but it's not foul play or something along those lines.
Scientists. they have to pay scientists to get involved here, and investigate the difference. They have to do a seventh grade science fair. Hypotenuses like, yeah, this one is believed to be slightly stickier.
Yeah, it's really stupid. But I don't know which injury do you think like has kind of had the biggest impact so far? Like which team? I mean, you're gonna say Von Miller, probably. I mean, that's definitely up there.
I'm not. I'm not. I'm actually not. I'm going to say Christian McCaffrey because it would be Saquon, but he was hurt last year. But Christian McCaffrey, even though he's coming back, I mean, he literally is their team. He is the team right now. They are building around him. That's the guy. That's the MVP. That's that's it. So him being down with a injury that's very nobody's talking about it could be 3 weeks, it could be 6 weeks. That's the biggest one that's going to make the biggest difference right now. Von Miller is for my personal team, and honestly for his career, it's the biggest one in my opinion because he's getting there towards the end of it, and this could have been a big year for him.
Yeah, you have a good point with Christian McCaffrey, especially with new coach, new quarterback. This time right now is really crucial. It's pivotal in establishing what your team's going to be, and especially with other teams struggling. Yeah. You don't want him to come back middle of the season, everybody's hitting their stride, and all of a sudden, oh shit, we got 3-4 division games in a row. I don't know what their schedule is, but yeah, it's definitely not good.
It's not easy. Yeah, it's not easy. They have a tough schedule for sure. They're playing, they're playing the NFC, and the NFC's tough.
Yeah, if I had to pick anybody, I'm going Nick Bosa just because I don't know, the 49ers are really feeling for him, but I know it's not crazy, but you got to think a Super Bowl caliber defense losing that style of that type of player is just I don't know, just chalk it up. They're just not even the same team anymore. Plus they lost everybody. Well, I just don't think their offense, let's just say this. In terms of which teams hit the hardest, obviously Niners. Which part of their team is most important? Definitely not that crappy offense and Jimmy G. So, I don't know. It's where are we finding? Where's the biggest impact? At least with that team and that on the team that has the most. That's my pick.
I would agree with the Bosa. Actually, you might have swayed me here because if it was just Bosa, I would say, not really. But the fact that it's a couple guys on defense, it's Bosa, and then it's Jimmy G on offense, which. We disagree a lot on Jimmy G, but he is their quarterback. He is a franchise quarterback. That's That's a tough loss. And now you have both your defensive captain and your offensive captain out. It means more for him being out for now.
Yeah,
so you may have swayed me over.
the amount of injuries they have. So you need those playmakers more than ever, to lead the defense.
Yeah, and who knows how this affects his future. He was playing in my opinion, very early, but he's definitely a Hall of Famer starting out his career. This could derail that completely,
Yeah, that's true. So I knew you were gonna the MLB playoffs are coming up. You had I don't know. I'm sure you have something stupid about the Yankees.
Well, they're not doing so great, but they're going to get in. They clinched it. Basically, in the AL, there's 2 more spots left. I'm not going to go over the teams. It's not important yet. Maybe when we start getting into playoffs next week, it will be. But there's 4 spots in the NL. There's a lot of close records of 60 games. It's really hard for these good teams to hit their stride because you get one injury, you lose 10 games. When there's 100, when there's over 100 games, it's a lot easier than when there's 60 games or COVID 40 games. And But real quick, I wanted to just highlight who I think is going to be the MVP, and I think we're going to have something that we've only seen 10 other times, and since the '60s is Bieber for the Cleveland Indians or the Cleveland baseball team, however you want to phrase it now. He's going to be Cy Young and the MVP. In my opinion, I could be wrong, but he's really good right now. Kershaw did in 2014, and he's looking at it. And then for the NL, Mookie Betts, he won it in the AL, now he's going to win it in the NL, which is there's going to be a lot of asterisks this year. But with that said, these guys are playing good baseball. For somebody like me, I love baseball, and it's unfortunate that we have a short season because you need a longer season for baseball to really kind of hit the groove this time of year with the playoffs. And it's going to be kind of boring playoffs. It's going to be very one-sided games. Who knows what you're getting for? You might get a World Series game with the Cincinnati Reds in them. You know what I mean? You don't. It's so much unknown this year. But there will be 8 teams from each, and that's expanding a bit. So giving more opportunities, and it'll get interesting in a couple weeks. We'll talk more about it then. Right now, it's kind of let's see who's in.
I think first off, the 2020 World Series should have been Cubs Indians. Like that should have been in 2020 because that just seems like the most obscure matchup. I can't believe it actually happened. But like also like I think that baseball probably is the sport affected most by COVID. It's just so much. It's such a body of work compared to everything else. Basketball. Every team that gets thrown together, you can talk about, they just need to get hot for the playoffs.
It's 11 guys. 11 guys. You need 11 guys for basketball. Yeah, it's nothing.
Yeah, that's true. It's just so, I think it's just, this might be the sport that has the biggest asterisk. Not that everybody's not going to talk about this year because it's an anomaly. It's not something we've ever.
Sure.
So, yeah.
If the Yankees don't win it, there'll be an asterisk from me at least. But if they win it, then they deserved it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't see any problems.
Yeah,
there.
Appreciate it. Yeah, man. I like I said, with going on from baseball, making a big old jump over to the NBA. We were talking a little bit about some crazy things in the NBA, but I just want to talk about the Heat right now, man. Out of nowhere, and this COVID has helped them, in my opinion, basically shine, man. They got Hero being the hero off the bench. Last night for us, was 37 points off the bench, man. And in the night before, he had 22. It's crazy how good this kid's playing. He has such a chip on his shoulder, and I do like watching him play. With that said, I think a lot of it has to do with the time off, getting back into the little bubble, and all that. And he's playing well. I mean, he's doing really good. I'm not sure if you caught any of those games or how much you know about the kid, but he's playing lights out, and he's definitely earning some money.
Yeah, he's really good. And, pick 13. And if you look at the list, it's kind of comical of people that were picked before him. Drafts are always hilarious looking back on it. But this one, usually it takes a little longer before you can look back and laugh. But this one's like really quick. The kid can ball, that's for sure. And the Heat, my Heat, if the Heat win the championship, then I win some money. So like that's my Heat. Yeah, the Celtics are just like, I don't know. After the locker room incident, I thought that was it. This is gonna be in the championship video, the fight in the locker room. We're gonna talk about it forever. Bring them back. Not to say they're out of it because we saw enough 3-1 deficits in the bubble. There's no rules in the bubble. What happens? What happens and stays in the
Denver
bubble
Nuggets,
stays
man.
in the bubble. Yep, exactly. The Denver
They did it
Nuggets
twice, and luckily they can't do it this time because they already took one from the Lakers. But yeah, man, the Heat and the Celtics, in my opinion, the Celtics are the best coached team in basketball, surprisingly, because they have no business being there. They have some great players, but you lose somebody like Kyrie, and you're still there. Like, how do you lose arguably one of the best point guards in basketball for the last decade probably, and you're still there? That's
true.
To me, that's well-coached basketball team right there.
Yeah, you definitely. The one thing is, like, with Kyrie, at least they brought in Kemba, and Kyrie kind of didn't fit their system, but still, it's like, it is kind of funny to see the Celtics, who are always touted as like the young team that's the future, but then you have a guy like Arrow come in and just what's up?
That's it. Yeah. They're the team to beat right now. And the Lakers, they're up 2-1 in the game right now, in the series right now. They lost the last one, but I mean the Denver Nuggets are a tough team. AD, the game 2 that they won, AD hits a game winner, and it was like, yells Kobe as he hits it. I mean, you can't write that. And it's their season, in my opinion. I'm not a big LeBron guy, but I'm glad he's on my team. He got robbed another MVP this year. He said it. They picked it before his season started. It's hard to give to him, just like it was hard to give to Kobe. It's hard to give to Jordan whenever they're supposed to play that way. When they're supposed to play like that, it's hard to give it to them.
Yeah, that's right. But at the same time, LeBron, I do think deserves at least a few more than he's gotten in his career. There's been a few times it's very blatantly obvious. Not that I'm always sucking off LeBron, but you gotta acknowledge he's obviously a generational talent. So even if you don't agree, he's top 2, he's top 3, he's top. You know what I mean? He's at the top of everybody's list. So for him not to get as many MVP votes as like he hasn't, I guess good for the other people, but like LeBron, I would be a little bit jaded about that. But I did see I think the Lakers filed a complaint that he wasn't getting enough free throws. Was that a real story?
So it's a very real story, and it's True, kind of. If you watch LeBron play, and if you've ever seen LeBron play a basketball game, he's very physical. And that goes to the mentality of, hey, he's so physical, we don't need to make these calls. He went to the line twice in the game they lost, and he drives the lane 20 times. You got to call it 15 of those 20 times because he's getting smacked around. That's how basketball's played now. If it's a foul, it's a foul. I don't like the way basketball's played now. I miss the old, let's have 5 guys on Kobe Bryant, punch him in his face, and he'll still make it. That's beautiful. LeBron James, though, if the fouls are you're getting hit, you're going to go to the foul line. You got to call it. And he's getting smashed. AD's getting hit. I mean, and they're letting him play, which I can live with. But to be fair, if one team goes to the foul line 20 times, you're going to foul line 5 times, and your best guy who's driving is not even hitting the line, it's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah, that's true. I just feel like I've also seen, though, like I watched LeBron a lot when he was in Cleveland. And Miami, I love the Miami days, which is like not popular opinion, I guess, but you're either one way or another on that one. But I always loved the Miami days, and like LeBron, he can't totally pretend like he hasn't just gotten calls either. Like, not that he like flopping or anything like that, but like LeBron is literally a giant human being coming down the lane, and then you have like the small point guard, just trying to do what he can. And like, even if he could establish himself, it doesn't matter. Like, obviously that's part of what makes LeBron so good, but like those always seem so goofy to me. I know it's part of the game, but then like I've seen it a lot, so like the complaint just seems, I don't know. But hey, whenever you're the best, you get the most criticism, and that's just kind of how it goes. So obviously something like this, people are going to point at it and have a problem with it.
Well, I call them GOAT calls because, if you watch back, I've been watching basketball since I was, since I was a kid. And Jordan used to get them. Kobe got them. Big men are always going to get them because they're down low. And LeBron's going to get the calls, and they can fake it. And, he is the reason there are flop fines. Let's call it what it is. He is the reason there are flop fines in the NBA now. And that wasn't a thing until he was with the Heat. Him, D. Wade, and Bosh were just falling. Like, oh, my nose got tickled.
Well, that's kind of interesting, though, because a lot of that seems like it might have came from Europe a little bit. Like, they were kind of talking about that earlier in this playoffs. I know for a fact. I can't remember who it was that called out Luka and a few other people. I don't know. But either way, it's kind of interesting because who, like D. Wade also kind of perfected the Euro step. So was he spending a little bit too much time over there? I don't know, but maybe he picked it up over there. They like to flop in those soccer games and all that business.
Yeah, I agree, man. That's what I was going to say, watching too much soccer. But, hey, speaking of LeBron James, let's make our real quick hard cut here. Let's go to our favorite segment of the week. It's Who's in Odell's Bedroom? Basically, who took a shit this past week, right? And that's going to be Colby Covington. He won his fight pretty well against Tyron Woodley. He did a great job. I mean, he's a wrestler. He talks a big game like he's going to knock you out, but he wrestles, and he's one of the best fighters in the world, but he's an asshole, and that's his gimmick, and he likes it. He gets up and starts calling LeBron out, because LeBron's a social justice warrior. Basically a shut-up and dribble mentality. I'm not going to tell him to shut up and fight because then that makes me no better than him. But, yeah, he definitely took his shit. It didn't work because LeBron's just like, all right, well, let's fight then. And he's got 110 pounds on her. So don't get me wrong, LeBron would probably get beat up. But with that said, it's like, why are you calling him? He's not even a fighter. Call the guy who broke your jaw out the last fight. And then he says something about Kamaru Usman, some racist comment about his tribal chief smoke signaling the win to him. And I'm like, man, Kobe, you just dig it deeper and just keep digging it and throwing it on. And but he's definitely our who's in Odell's bedroom this week is him because he definitely took the shit on the week.
I've kind of been following the story obviously a little bit, and I know I saw Dana White said he lets the guys be who they want to be, kind of say what they want.
Of course. And you know what, man, that's great. Just let them talk, but you should probably as a company just kind of be aware of who you're trying to target. You're targeting younger people, and they don't like that stuff. We don't like that stuff. Nobody should like it, but it's entertaining, and that's what he's trying to do. And I'm missing the boat here. I'm sure whoever's watching or listening is going to tell me I'm an asshole and I'm wrong, and go Colby, go America, and all this other stuff. And he can kick rocks for all I care. But he is a great fighter. He's I mean, gets his jaw broken again, I'm going to be happy. But he is an amazing fighter.
Yeah, I just think like the LeBron tweet. I don't feel like LeBron challenged him to a fight necessarily. Like I felt like a lot of it was taken out of context. the tweet about like shitting your pants if you were in the arena or something like that. I think that was more of a statement to the people like, you know, the media or the people that don't play professional sports that like to criticize LeBron and kind of say he's just rich crybaby, you know, he's entitled because he's a professional, he's a millionaire, he needs kind of the shut up and dribble stuff, obviously. But like, I feel like it was more like saying, hey, you might not think that what I do is special, but obviously it is, because if not, you would be doing it. So at the end of the day, the people that want to criticize LeBron are just jealous.
Yeah, and I don't want to dive too much into it, obviously, because you know we have other stuff to cover. But I'm with you, man. I'm not a big, huge fan of LeBron James, but older LeBron James, I mean, he's amazing what he does. He's doing so much stuff, and yeah, he does make mistakes. You know, the whole China. I don't want to say anything out of but when it comes to giving back, and I mean, the guy doesn't have to. I'll be honest. If I was that, you don't get rich by giving away your money. Keep every penny, but he's giving it away. He's helping kids out. He's donating his time, his money. He's talking, speaking up, and using his platform for good. And he literally walked out, took the Clippers with him and the Lakers and walked out and said, hey, you guys need to help with social injustice. Made the owners put up $300 million towards police training and impoverished communities. I mean,
That's it. I mean, I think that's the most important point, is that he puts his money where his mouth is. He's not just saying stuff, he's doing things too. I think a lot of people like to talk one way or another, but when it comes down to it, the people that are actually doing something, yeah, you have the platform, you are doing something, you should be allowed to say something. Like that, you are the person at that point, and he's put himself obviously in that position before. Okay, not to get off before we move on, I just want to point out that we're probably going to get a live reaction from you with this Lakers game. Don't look now, but they're down 3 and the fourth just started. So I cannot wait. I can't wait for the Nuggets to go up 3-1. I mean, yeah, wait, hold on. What is it, 2-1 now? We need LA to win.
It'll be 2-2. It'll be 2-2.
Okay, so we need LA to win, so it's 3-1, and then, you know, bum.
Then I'll be happy. Yeah, it's bad, but
okay, I'll tell you.
I want to stick with MMA real quick.
Okay, sorry, go ahead. Okay. No, keep going.
I was going to stick with the MMA train, and we're just going to this weekend. We have 2 great fights. We have Izzy Adesanya and Paulo Costa. Realistically, if you look at the 2 dudes, Paulo Costa looks like he's going to kill him. He's Brazilian. He looks like he's been on steroids his whole life. He's not. Just saying. The guy wakes up, works out, probably has never had a bowl of cereal. Definitely hasn't eaten a honey bun ever. And you got Izzy, who looks like he's never eaten at all. But I'm going to take Izzy, not by knockout. I'm going to take him by decision just because he's going to outlast him. And then we have Dominic Reyes versus Jan Blachowicz. I can't say it, but Jan is pretty good, but Dominic took John Jones to the limits and may have beat him. I gave it to John Jones, but I'm a little biased because I do think he is the GOAT. But Dominic is going to win this, in my opinion, first round knockout.
I love how the names in UFC just have gotten progressively crazier and crazier as it gets more and more worldwide, which is just hilarious. Because like most sports, you start to get guys from certain areas, so you kind of start to recognize them. Like obviously NBA, you get a lot of Europe. Baseball is a lot of like Puerto Rico and that, you know. And so like it's just funny to see, you know, the names get crazier and crazier.
Oh, I can't even say. There's this one guy who has a cleft palate. I was going to bring him up, but I don't know how to say his name. Somebody call him a rat lip, and it's kind of really mean. But the dude is legit. I kind of joked like, he's fighting bums, but like he's knocking dudes out with literally one punch, and he's taking fights on 24-hour notice and showing up and knocking dudes out. He fought twice in 1 week.
Wow.
I mean, it's Chesmint. I can't even try. Just look up rat lip guy. I don't want to call him that because he might kick my ass.
What?
But with that said,
like
he's great. He has a hair lip.
Racial slur? Okay.
No, he has. he has a hair lip. He's from Russia and he has like a hair lip. He was born with a birth defect on his lip. But Izzy Adesanya called him. He says whenever Ratlip's ready to go, tell him to call me or something like that. And
so it's okay
pretty
to
much
make fun of him. Even though, yeah, it's fair game.
Yeah, Izzy's a prick. Izzy's a prick. He's the worst.
Fair game.
He's almost as bad as Colby. But yeah, man, that's my MMA breakdowns. Feel free to tell me I'm wrong. Feel free to ask me questions. Send in my inbox into Corey. But that's my take. I watch a lot of MMA. I'm no expert. I haven't worked out in years. With that said, I've never missed a card in 15 years on UFC, Bellator, or now One Fighting. I love that program. These little guys in there are better than any little guys in the world. The 125s and 135ers are beasts. Now, Cody G would knock them all out, in my opinion. Hometown boy. But they're pretty good over there.
And you could count on it. That's MMA Ray. But this is at Fight Island, right?
Yeah, this is at Fight Island, which is the funniest thing in the world to me because Dana White's a turd. I mean, he's an amazing promoter, but he could have had this fight in America and had no grip. That's just who he is. But let's pay all this money to go to, I think it's in Dubai or one of these places, and rent an island. Just rent the island, have these guys come fight, quarantine them, basically bubble them, and have them fight. However, the problem is every card we have people testing positive for COVID while he's saying, oh, it's not a big deal. We're going to keep doing this.
In the building.
Yeah. Yeah, like they're having dudes fight on 2-week notices. Like that's dangerous, man. You're going to get somebody killed.
Right.
They're not like me and you. They're not me and you. These are professional athletes. They will hurt somebody.
I think that Fight Island just sounded like way cooler in concept. Like it sounded like an 80s movie with like, I don't know, Jean-Claude Van Damme in it or something like that. Yeah,
tattoo. The plane.
Yeah, so that was like that. I just imagine somebody getting their ass kicked. That's like an old school action movie. So it was kind of I don't know. It was a little bit of a letdown whenever I realized it's just like this dark room. It looks like they're about to film some orgy scene or something like that.
Hey, I'm into that.
Yeah. All right, so I wanted to get into a little bit of NFL then because, to be honest, NFL is my absolute favorite thing, and we only have it for a limited time, so we have to talk about it while it's here. We can talk about all the other shit whenever, obviously. I wanted to talk about this Tyrod Taylor story. It is absolutely bonkers. I dug into it just a little bit. So, obviously, Tyrod Taylor, in case nobody's read, he had cracked ribs from week 1. Week 2, before the game, they were giving him a shot for pain. I don't know what did they get.
I don't know, man. Probably like a low dose aspirin or Tylenol, just injected directly, so it affects.
Mixed with
I don't think it's like heroin. I don't think it's anything crazy. Yeah, I don't think it's anything like we think it is because it has to meet the qualifications still of the policy. But it's definitely not worth what he got.
Yeah, so either way, yeah, the doctors went to inject him and ended up puncturing his lung. Which, what was he feeling around for? Like, he didn't know the length of the needle? Is Tyrod Taylor a vampire?
I think Dr. Dre just needs to quit practicing medicine, man. I mean, what doctor just stabs you in the lung? And I mean, that's a Tyrod thing to happen, though. I mean, this guy has had this stuff happen to him his whole career, just the most random crap. Oh, that's a Tyrod move, but I'm with you. Like, what kind of doctor? He's losing his license, I hope. This is crazy.
I got something for you. So I did a little bit of research. I will say this about Tyrod. He doesn't lose the job himself. The job just loses him, like every single time. Like, some way or another, he just loses his job, and we're just like, sorry, Tyrod. But the doctor... Get this. He was David Chow's his name. He was the doctor in San Diego way back when, apparently, and for like 15 years or something. And he had like so many malpractice lawsuits and players suing him because apparently he was misdiagnosing career-ending injuries and literally costing people tons of money. That's the guy, got fired from San Diego. They felt like it was a good idea to bring him back now that they moved. Like, nobody would notice. This guy is on the cheap. They're like, shit, we got budget cuts. We got no fans. What can we do? Get Dr. Chow. He'll do it for half price.
$5 billion stadium. We have no money for doctors.
Dude, that's pretty much it. They're like, yeah, we got to get some fans in these seats, or else we're gonna get the sketchy doctor. It's like some kind of like crazy back alley, creepy doctor or something. I don't know.
Pulls in a Cadillac, lay in the trunk. I'll help you out, type thing.
He's got
I don't know, man. I'll say this as a Broncos fan. This is a Chargers move too. Those Chargers never get out of their way. They have literally had some of the greatest defenders in all of football, like one of the best defenses put together, and just could never get it done. They've had Phillip Rivers forever, and Keenan Allen. They've had great players, but could never put it together. No matter who coaches, no matter who's there, no matter what they have, they just can't get together. The one problem that everybody else has, they can't have a franchise quarterback. The Chargers have had it twice. Drew Brees gave him up. Phillip Rivers never won for him.
Yeah, it's very strange. They've had some good defenses multiple times too. It's not just one time they threw it together. Like I feel like they've rebuilt that defense multiple times. They've rebuilt that offense multiple times, and it just doesn't matter. Rivers and Gage should get some type of honorary award for just having to deal with that. They're pretty much their whole
Here's a Super Bowl championship. You can have it. You can have this one. Tom Brady will give it to him. You can have this one, guys.
Let's not get too crazy, all right? Yeah, so I just thought that it was absolutely insane. I was reading the article today that it was the same doctor. Like we already knew he was shit, but they decided to just hire him again. So hey, struggle's real. 2020, COVID. Apparently they didn't get their stimulus check. I don't know what was going on, but that guy should not be practicing medicine. That's for sure. All right, I want to get into a little bit of fantasy football.
I'm very fearful.
Yeah, you and I play a lot of fantasy football. I don't know how many leagues you're in. How many leagues are you in?
I'm embarrassed to admit that I'm in 6 leagues.
I'm in 5, which is down from 9 last year, so I'm really proud of myself. Yeah. I found that being in more leagues kind of started to take away from the fun, so it was just I had too many players spread out. I couldn't focus my celebrations and misery that comes along with it. But we're in 3 leagues together: a league that you run, a league that I run, and 2 leagues I run actually. Let's say a league with our friends, a league with your friends, league with my friends, league with your friends, and a league with our Schwen sports friends. Schwen sports friends. But yeah, so we play a lot of fantasy football, so we're going to try not to give each other too much advice, I guess. But actually, I'll probably just call you dumbass because you're absolutely terrible at fantasy football.
I appreciate the confidence in me, sir, and I won't let you down.
Okay, so I just had a couple things wrote down here. I wanted to start with a little bit of a keep, trade, cut. I'll go first. Keep, I'm saying Hayden Hurst. He had a good week last week. I don't know if anybody's debating on dropping him because he could filter into being a 4th receiver on that Atlanta team, and you don't really know if they're going to be able to upkeep that passing volume, probably because they suck and they have no defense. But at the same time, he could be every bit of Austin Hooper in my opinion. So I think he's worth, if you're not comfortable starting him, definitely do not get rid of him because you're going to be regretting it if he's on the waiver wire in 3 weeks probably. Something like that. At least in theory, okay? So, keep Hayden Hurst. Do not drop him for Jordan Reed or somebody that's the hot freshness. Trade away. I got Drew Brees if you can get anything for him. I don't know. Times are hard, but maybe people are optimistic. The name still holds some value. It's only been 2 weeks, and you could probably talk it up to somebody. Honestly, if somebody came to me with Drew Brees, I'd probably consider it just because it's Drew Brees. He doesn't look – he's not passing the eye test right now, but nobody is. And so it's kind of – and he doesn't have Thomas, so there's a lot of stipulations. So I say the same reason I just justified maybe keeping him would be the reason that a person would consider taking a trade for him. Obviously, it's not the easiest thing getting rid of a quarterback, but there's probably somebody in your league that is pretty desperate. And trade. And so trade 4, I have Deontay Johnson. I think Deontay Johnson is. I'm a Pittsburgh homer all day, obviously, but Deontay Johnson is good. He's here. I think that his numbers are only going to sustain or go up. And it's very evident that Ben Roethlisberger wants to focus in on Johnson whenever he needs a guy that he needs to get in rhythm with. Juju's still a great receiver. Juju does different things. Deontay is more of a all-around receiver, and I think that he's going to get a lot of looks. So if you can trade for him now, I would do it. He's had a couple good weeks, so the price might be a little high, but I think it's only going to get higher. And the last thing I got is cut Peyton Barber. I don't know if he's on your roster. Trash that. I hate Peyton Barber. I mostly just hate him because he's the guy that's been on the waiver wire since he's been in the league, and you always look at him and you're like, Peyton Barber's there, but then you're like, Peyton Barber's there, like shit. So yeah, that's my little guys. Let's see what you got.
Well, I had some similar ones with you, like Peyton Barber. I agree with because he'll get 14 points, and then you're like, man, I got to add this guy, and then he'll throw 2 points out there. But I had to make it different because I didn't want to align with you a whole lot. But I don't disagree with you really anywhere. But my keep would be Le'Veon Bell. Let's stash this guy only for what he can be. I mean, at this point, you should be done with your team. I mean, realistically, with injuries, you might pick up a couple handcuffs, but you should be done with your team. Don't get rid of Bell. Keep him because he is going to be the Jets' offense, either or he won't be. This is his year to prove himself.
I agree.
He's pretty much going to do it.
Did you see that Adam Gase said that the Jets are going to kick it into hyperdrive? So look out.
Oh, the cocaine's kicking in.
Yeah, the cocaine's
kicking in. I actually wrote this down. I actually wrote something like that down because I was like, this guy, Gase, as a Broncos guy, I know what he's capable of, but I don't know what happened to the guy. Miami, he got on cocaine down there or something. He's wild. But Bell is definitely worth the wait. He has a young QB, kind of subpar team. He's going to be the guy. And in my opinion, I don't know if Gase is going to go the whole season. So you're going to get a substitute coach who's going to pound the ball, and you're going to get touchdowns. You're going to get a couple catches, check downs, things like that. So keep him. My trade away is definitely controversial. But I think injury. I mean, there's value for him, right? You can pick it. You can get value for him, but he's not the option there anymore. He's really not doing anything. He's got 8 catches so far this year for 102 yards, which is good. But you can trade him. Somebody's a Browns fan, I'm sure, or somebody thinks he can do really great, and you can get somebody with some real talent, or get Drew Brees who might light it up and have the end of the year. My trade for is obvious. Freeman. I mean, pick him up. He's coming in. He's taken over. Saquon Barkley is the Giants' offense. Saquon Barkley's not there. Who's taking over? Freeman. That's your guy. Easy. Don't need to explain it much. And my cut is Williams, the running back for Green Bay. He's averaging 8 points, which, if he gets you a touchdown, great, but get rid of him. He's going to lose that job to Dylan, and it's going to be a 2-man show there, and you just don't need him. Jones is getting 40 points a week. You're not. Just trash him. Get rid of him. You don't need him. Don't waste a spot on him.
Yeah, he's definitely one of those bench cloggers. You could keep him around, but really, are you going to start him? I mean, you'd have to be pretty desperate.
And then he gets a touchdown, and you start him, and you screw yourself over the next week. It's not worth having him there. Let some other dumbass do it. You don't need to do it.
I agree. I think you broke up a little bit when you trade away. It was Jarvis Landry, by the way, in case everybody was noticing.
Yes, sorry about that. But yeah, Jarvis Landry, just get rid of him. I mean, trade him for Breeze.
Okay, and who do you have as your start of the week?
Oh, Mike Davis. For the same reason as why you start Freeman. CMC. That's all you have to say. He's out. They're going to run the same system. They're not changing everything. Go with the next guy. He played okay at the end of the game. I mean, we'll see what he has. Start him. It's worth it. If you got him, you picked him up a waiver. I know you did. If you tried, you got him. Start him. I don't think you're going to regret it. You're going to not get CMC numbers, but you're going to get 20 points from him.
Do you think that he can he catch? I just wonder if they're going to switch to maybe more of a throwing offense, and I wonder how many catches, or let's say not even throwing offense either by design because they don't know what Davis can do, or by necessity because they don't have Christian McCaffrey and they might be down in some games.
I love Teddy Bridgewater. I'm a guy who loves Teddy Bridgewater, but with that said,
everybody knows that
he's learned this offseason. Yeah, he's this offseason. He's learned this offseason. He's learned this scheme. He's learned this system, and he's had a full starting quarterback offseason. Well, full within coronavirus limits. You can't change it on him now. You have to go with what you've learned. Let him throw, but you still have to threat with the checkdowns, and you still have to threaten with the good run game. and he's no CMC, but the line's built for a running back. The line's built for the run game. And the line's built for the check downs, for the screens. Go with it for a week, and hey, this is your week to start him. You'll know next week if they stray away from it in the fourth quarter. If they're like, okay, we got to quit doing that. Let's go DJ Moore down the field. Then it's pretty much it's done. But in my opinion, he's taking over CMC. He's not going to get you 30, 40 points, but he's going to get you 20, and it's RB1 numbers. And in my opinion, that's my start of the week.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty good. All right, that's our fantasy advice. So we'll see how it goes. I mean,
hold on, you didn't give me your start of the week.
Oh no, my start of the week. My start of the week is AJ Green. It's a little bit biased because I need him to do good because I have him in like every single league because I don't know, he was just there and I'm like AJ Green, so I had to take him even though I knew I shouldn't take him, but I always took him because I don't know. It's AJ Green. You know, what if, you're like AJ Green, what if, but then whatever. He was targeted 13 times last game. 13 times. I'm sorry, but like they're going to connect at some point. The first game he got robbed of 2 touchdowns. The second game he got robbed of 1 touchdown. So it's going to happen. And if you add a touchdown to his numbers that he's having, it's not bad at all. And I think that he's going to, let's just say he catches half of those targets, 7 points if you're in PPR, plus the yards, plus a touchdown. The touchdowns will come. So I think that do not give up on AJ Green. I'm saying start him this week. He is the guy that Burrow clearly trusts the most. If you look at all those other receivers,
rightfully so. I agree with you 102%. I won't go 110, but 102%. This is Burrow's win week, in my opinion, which we'll get to that in a little bit. But I think that this is the game that they connect. I think that he goes off. I think that Boyd has shown some flashes of catching the ball and being a little more catching the checkdowns and a little more, closer to to getting some more action. But that's just a mislead. It's going to be AJ Green's week, and I have him in one league, and I'm also with you. I need him to do it. But 13 targets. AJ Green's also getting a flow. He missed all of last year. He's still no real off season, no preseason. Still checking his hands, and Burrow throws some heat. As much as I don't want to like the guy, he throws heat and he can ball, and he's trying to be a rookie of the year, and AJ Green's going to help him do that.
Definitely. I think Burrow's accuracy is just a little bit off, but I think that that will rein in a little bit as the season goes on, and they're not going to there's going to be a lot of garbage time, and there's nothing better than garbage time players in fantasy football. Sometimes they're more valuable than the actual good players on actual good teams because those sweet garbage time minutes just there's no rules.
I tend to disagree. I disagree unless you're playing against the Vikings and Thielen goes off for 2 touchdowns and you have the game won until the last 5 minutes of the game. You're like, oh great, I was winning this week in fantasy football, and then some guy with waxed legs has Adam Thielen sitting there and catching 2 touchdowns. Ugh, we're not friends, Phil. Enough said. Inside joke. He's not cool.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, so we're going to do a quick pick-up. We got 5 games here. We're going to try and keep track of this as the show goes on and just kind of keep track of who did what. So we'll just go game by game. Just we'll go back and forth who our pick is and just a little bit of what you think is going to be, what you're excited about the game or what you think is going to be the biggest takeaway. I'll start. I'll do the first game first, and then you could follow. Got the Raiders and the Patriots as our first game. Raiders at New England. I don't know if that matters much. I don't know if they're putting fans in the crowd. I'm sure New England has some way of cheating and pumping in crowd noise. It's probably underneath the turf or something like that. They put speakers under the turf. I don't know what they're going to do, but they're up to something, that's for sure. I got to be honest. I got the Raiders in this one. I like what Gruden's working with. He's got a nice he's been there long enough to establish a rapport with Carr. I think that Waller is a legitimate problem, and as long as they can run the ball, which I don't see why they can't. This Patriots defense isn't bad, but it's not what it's been in years past. They're missing some guys, and so I think that there is definitely a possibility of the Raiders, if it stays close, which it probably will because the Patriots have been more of a slow-paced team, then it's anybody's ball game. And I like the Raiders. I think I don't know, Vegas rules.
So I'm going to take the Patriots, not to be different, but here's my thing with the Raiders. They had their home opener in their new stadium. I'm going to get to, whenever we talk about another game, how away advantage isn't really a thing anymore. Home advantage isn't a thing, that it's pretty much even so far this season with wins and losses. And anyways, but the Pats, Cam Newton has a lot to prove. He didn't necessarily have a terrible game last week, but Bill Belichick is the best coach in football and the best coach in football history. And Cam Newton's going to get there with him. They're going to be okay, and he's going to definitely get this win. The Raiders are going to show who they really are. They're the Raiders. They're a team who can't never figure it out. They can't get together. They don't use – last week they won, but they didn't even use their best player very much, and they're going to ride that same hot streak against a better defense and lose.
I'm not. Let's just say I'm not a Raiders truther. I just like them this week. And by the way, did you see that Bill Belichick hoodie? Like, bro, give it up.
Dude, he definitely worked the corner of some meth that week. Let's just throw it out there. He was like, anybody got some of them Subway subs?
The bad part about it is it would probably be something you would see like on Pinterest. Like, I make old hoodies into fashionable new throwovers. Check out my smock that I made from Bill Belichick's armpit sweat and fucking hoagie sauce or whatever the hell he eats. I don't know.
And tears. He had tears on there too.
The next game I got is Rams-Bills. I'm going the Bills. I love the Bills, especially at home. Bills Mafia is not there. Like you said, you don't think that home matters, but traveling matters in this case, at least a little bit, I think, with teams coming coast to coast. I guess the same could be said with the Raiders. But in this case, the Rams still haven't put it together fully, that's for sure. And the Bills, although they haven't really played anybody yet, I do like their team regardless. And I think Josh Allen is legitimate, and he has a cannon, and Diggs loves catching deep balls. So with that combination and Josh Allen just running over anybody in his path, I like the Bills. I'm going with the Bills.
All right, so I'm not trying to be different from you, but I'm definitely not taking the Bills. Now, this is the game I wanted to talk about because Bills Mafia is a real thing. I agree with you. Josh Allen, real deal. The team is real. I mean, the team is good and is really good. However, let me get to this real quick. Week 1, home away, we split even, 8-8. There was no home advantage, which generally it doesn't happen like that. Week 2 was a little better. I think it was 10-6, which is a lot better, big difference. But I also think a lot of that was matchups second week. And if you look at the close games, week 1 there was 7 games decided by less than a touchdown. Week 2 there was 8 games decided by less than a touchdown. Home field advantage is gone. Now you're going to look at the teams and the coaches. The Rams, Goff, I don't know how to figure this dude out. Sometimes he's MVP, sometimes he's a bum. And then same thing, they switch running backs every day. I'm going with the Rams just based off of how hot they look compared. And the Bills look good too, but they're not playing as good of talent, in my opinion. So this is their first test. I hope they prove me wrong because I'm rooting for the Bills. I want them to do well. I like Josh Allen. I like Diggs. But I think this is their first real test.
Okay, all right. Next game, we got the Cowboys versus the Seahawks. This might be unpopular opinion, but I'm riding with the boys this week. I think that they're coming off the Dak Prescott and the comeback victory, and I look for them to just stay hot and hopefully keep just throwing the ball. And Seahawks are good, and they probably will win this game, but I just like the Cowboys in just like an unlikely upset here.
So guess what? We agree. On the weirdest game I thought we wouldn't agree, we agree, and here's why. The Seahawks are great. They're not Legion of Boom great. They got a good defense. They got a great offense. Russ is hearing MVP talk, so that can only mean one thing. He's going to have a shit game. He's going to be our Odell Beckham, who's in Odell's bedroom next week. He's going to take a shit. And the Cowboys are going to win this game. Listen, you have Zeke, you have Dak, you have Gallup who can ball. You have Cooper who can ball. Like, CeeDee Lamb is their third, fourth, fifth option on that offense. They should run right through everybody. But they don't because they kind of suck at some things. They're just can't put it together. But I think that they also beat the Seahawks. If this was fans in the stadium, if this was a different game, I don't know how I'd pick. But since it's going to be quiet on whoever. It's going to be a big game. It's going to be let's talk this through. Let's kind of take emotions out of it. I think the Cowboys can win it.
All right, no 12th man. I like that. That's definitely so every game so far we've mentioned would have been great home field advantage. Patriots, Bills, Seahawks, those are some tough places to go to. So advantage the traveling team definitely compared to normal. Now we got a really interesting one because I don't know what the fans are. I don't even know if they have a stadium name anymore. But we got the Cleveland Browns versus the Washington Football Team. Did they lose their stadium sponsor? Did they find a new one yet? Or is it just the stadium?
I think FedEx Right still kept the contract because they did drop the name.
Oh, okay.
But I'm sure he's trying to sell a stake, and I don't know the whole. I'm not a big Washington fan. I know some guys who are, and I'm rooting for them this year. But it's a mess. Just pick a damn name.
Yeah. So I just was hoping they played at the stadium or whatever, but they I don't know. This is probably just the complete hater in me, but I'm going with the Washington Football Team. Only for this fact, even if I take my bias out of it, the Cleveland Browns are the quintessential up and down team. So you're going to see, even if they win this game, right? Say win 1 or 2 in a row, look great, and then the next game just complete dog shit, and just seems like one of those games. Cleveland coming off the win against Cincinnati, who isn't exactly a stellar team, and going to Washington to play the Washington Football Team, who has an underrated defense. If Dwayne Haskins doesn't lose him the game, I like them in this game.
Well, you mentioned one thing, and I heard Odell Beckham pants getting tighter. You said dog shit, and he just. All jokes aside, I'm actually taking the Browns here. I really do want to root for Washington. I think their defense is young, and Chase Young is a freaking beast, man. He is as advertised. The team looks good. They're playing okay football. They're young. They have some connections that they can work on. If they had a preseason, they'd be a much better team, in my opinion. They're still figuring things out. But yeah, Cleveland last week shut me up a bit. Now, their defense, in my opinion, is not as good as advertised. You can't let Cincinnati do that to you. I mean, come on. You can't let them do that to you. However, I think Baker Mayfield doesn't take this game as emotional. When he doesn't play emotional, he actually can play pretty well. If he's playing, there's no dog in this fight. There's no BS that he has to prove. It's just another game that he should win, and he should win this week. Simple as that.
As long as Terry McLaurin doesn't tear up that secondary that's completely made of Swiss cheese, then yeah, definitely. Cleveland will probably win. I'm just going with not picking Cleveland because I hate them. So,
sure.
And speaking of which, my team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, are our last game versus the Texans. I think you probably know which team I'm picking in this game. The Steelers, obviously, but I'll give a few reasons. I'll try not to be too long-winded here. Number one, Texans have no offensive line, and the Steelers have a really good defensive line. So, combination of just, it's just going to be, there's going to be guys coming at Deshaun Watson all over the place. And speaking of which, I'm not sure who he's going to be throwing to because I'm pretty sure Cooks is still questionable, and Will Fuller is definitely not 100%. And David Johnson, I don't look for him to get any real movement on the ground, maybe in the passing game. So I'm curious to see what kind of happens with. I just don't think that he has a safety valve, and he doesn't have an offensive line to give him the time to even make the play. So, but this will be a good test for the Steelers defense to see if they can contain a mobile quarterback. A little more than what they faced so far, I guess. But I hopefully, I'm not scared. I don't think their defense is anything to write home about. So, I don't know. I think the Big Ben can put together a few drives and bring us home the W.
All right, so I'm going to pick the Texans, and let me explain why. Because I think the Steelers should win this game. However, they beat my Broncos barely. They gave the game to the Broncos several times, and they just didn't take it. With 8 of the Denver Broncos starters out, with a backup quarterback who's won one game in his entire career, and I I know that the Steelers like to play down to their competition. That's something we've always talked about as buddies when we get together. Steelers play down competition. And this game for me is a prove it game. Like let's see if that's really what's going on this year, or do you know if James Conner's better than Snell? Like do we know that they can contain quarterback? Whether he's hitting no receivers or he's hitting tight ends, no button guys. Because Deshaun Watson's for real. Let's be honest with each other. He's going to be screwed over by Bill O'Brien for his career for his whole career as long as Bill O'Brien's there. You put him on another team, he's going to be successful. Bill O'Brien's a turd, taking away his weapons. Now, I still think that they get this win because of what I saw last week. Just my opinion, but I realistically think the Steelers should win this game. I'm just taking Houston based off of what I saw and to kind of ruffle your feathers.
Yeah, I get it. I just don't. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I just don't. Deshaun Watson is very good, but I like what you said about Bill O'Brien, and he's the GM too. So he's literally probably gonna just fire himself as coach and just hang around as GM. So he will literally haunt Deshaun Watson.
He's gonna get shit canned. He's gonna get shit canned. They're gonna realize that there's only one guy who can do both. I mean, ownership, just like they did. You remember Josh McDaniels did that for Denver, and they're just kind of like, hey, you cheating bastard, we're firing you and hiring 2 new positions. So I think that this is his last year there. I don't, especially if they don't win anything, they don't make the playoffs this year. Bill O'Brien cannot continue after giving away your best player and probably in your franchise. I mean, let's be real. He's probably the best player they've ever had.
Right.
And he just gave him away for a ham sandwich.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was a shitty move. Okay, so that's perfect. You brought up the Broncos and Steelers because we're going to close here with a little segment. What's up with your team? Ray's a big Broncos fan. I'm a big Steelers fan. And so we obviously have I want to talk about the game a little bit. You kind of touched on it, and the Steelers trying to give them the game away, which it started off innocently enough, and then it got very real very quickly. And but the game was cracking me up because this was the ultimate Big Ben game. The dude comes out and throws that 84-yarder to Claypool, Claypool is, man, that dude is fast and huge. I love anybody like that on our team. He's like Martavis Bryant 2.0.
Pick him up in fantasy.
Definitely worth a flyer pick. I mean, he could be one of those guys, those high upside guys by end of season that you play in the matchups you need big points. And so I think so he throws that deep bomb. You're like, he's still got an arm. Okay. And they're going on and on. The game keeps going on. And then when we get to fast forward to the interception, driving down the field, everything's going good. He gets 10 solid seconds in the pocket and then just throws an interception. And I'm just like, what? You don't know what to even think about it. But I've seen it so many times. I wasn't even surprised. I was just like, bruh, again? It's like talking to my, obviously you can't hear me from my couch. I have to call him on his personal cell phone and he's playing a game. But I feel like I'm talking to my kids. What? I told you this 1,000 times. I feel like this Mike Tom was probably Ben, I've told you this 1,000 times. If there's nothing there, just throw it away. There's no reason to force it downfield into triple coverage. And he's like, well, I had all the time, so I figured I'd make a play. But which the turnovers are what really evened out the game, because our defense being, good and probably the best part of our team, they got 2 turnovers. So I don't know, especially the fumble whenever your boy got hurt, which I'm sure you're going to talk about. But let me finish up my Big Ben speech here just because. So the interception happens, and then the Deontay Johnson touchdown, which was perfect, roll out of the pocket, throw it. It was just the ultimate Big Ben game. And then we only won by a couple to a team we should have beat by 100. It was yes, the Steelers are back, finally.
Yeah, I'll agree with that, man. I mean, watch it. See, I don't think they're back. I would say this: Big Ben is he's my favorite Steeler player. We've talked about this hundreds of times. He is my favorite Steelers player. With that said, he is full of shit 90% of the time. He's like, "Oh, my arm's sore. Watch this 80-yard touchdown bomb." But with that said, man, I think that they definitely should have won the game. Drew Lock, this was a year for us we were going to be an average team, and we're going to see what we have we're the youngest offense in football. We have the youngest offense in football. I mean, we're not going to win a Super Bowl. I'm okay with that. I want to see we've won one recently, and in my lifetime, I have 3. I can live with some bad years to get to where we need to go. Now, the problem I'm having is with Drew Lock, we're likely looking at a top pick, and there's some good quarterbacks. Like, what do you do? We don't know what Drew Lock is, so him getting hurt sucked. Driscoll coming in, and I mean, he played okay, but that dude overthrew every single like you overthrew everybody. People are like, he played pretty good, man. Motherfucking Noah Fant had to jump 100 feet in the air to catch every pass he caught. Like, that dude is a baller. Noah Fant equals baller. I might be breaking up here, but I know Noah Fant's a baller. With that said, and then we back and forth. We lose Lindsey, we lose Locke, we lose Miller. It's a tough year for us, but hey, it's what it is. I'm happy football's back. I'm happy I have a team to root for on Sunday, and I'm happy they have a name and they're not the football team.
Yeah, that's true. Good point. They should just be the high football team or something. You guys should just be like the wait, maybe Washington. But it's legal in DC. They could be the Washington Weed Leaves or something. I don't know. That'd be funny. I will say this, my last little caveat that I wrote down here about the game, and it was one thing I just noticed during the game, and I'm not calling foul play because I don't think the penalties were egregious or any bit, but the penalties were like a big killer for the Steelers. We had 10 penalties compared to 4 for the Broncos, and I think that it continued a lot of drives that shouldn't have gotten continued. And you're obviously going to have those calls that as a fan you agree with it or you disagree because it's your team, but nothing really stood out to me except that the sheer number of them, and I think that combined with the turnovers really kind of created this illusion that the game was better than it was. Not that it wasn't a good game, but the first half compared to the second half, it's just a classic. I don't know. It's just that's the most infuriating thing about Mike Tomlin and the Steelers. Like, just constantly, I don't know, constantly losing focus, basically.
Yeah, I think so. I disappeared for a second, but I'll say this: Big Ben, one of those penalties against Denver, so it was even less than you think. Because one of those penalties was Big Ben's ass running and then just turning around. Like, give me a fucking break. But with that said, it was a good game to watch. I was surprised. I didn't have us winning that game. I didn't. And then when Drew Lock went down, I was pretty much like, hey, let me go get drunk. I can't watch this shit. But it was surprisingly a good game. We got Blake Bortles. I don't think he's going to play much. I'm going to say this. Who knows, man? Blake Bortles is the butt of every joke, but who knows, man? He might pull a Tannehill and reprise his career and then, get a good job next year. Let Drew Lock be Buzz Lightyear, and let's keep this thing rolling, win or loss. We're win or lose, we're going to get a good player next year. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, that's true. The Blake Bortles thing is funny that you brought up Tannehill, because I feel like Tannehill is going to get a lot of guys like second chances now, because it was like the perfect storm for Tannehill to what are to kind of take over and do so well. But I think that. Hopefully, how long is Locke out for? Because I hope that I do want to see him myself too. I guess it kind of sucks now with Sutton out. Kind of removes a little bit of the offense and what you guys can do. But
week 8, he'll be back week 8, and after bye week, he's going to play after bye. They're going to sit him out, be precautious, and because that's who they think is their franchise quarterback. And I can agree, the guy has heart and he can play. He has a cannon. He just got to get into and have his offense out there. If we had a preseason, I think we could have made the playoffs this year. Without a preseason and with injuries, just boom, boom, boom. It's literally like putting a nail through just up. It hurts all the time.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. So I already talked about the Steelers playing Houston, because it was in one of our picks. I don't really have much else to say, but hopefully that we can get after the quarterback, get off the field in third and longs. I still am watching them give up third and longs, and it just drives me crazy. But to their credit, the season's still young. I'm not judging many teams until probably week 4 or 5. So the more wins you can get in this little weird time frame while the teams are the NFL usually takes 3 or 4 weeks anyways, so that's why I even extended it out. So the more wins you can get in this little time frame, I think the more advantage your team has.
Yeah, don't panic. Don't panic if you're playing fantasy football either. Don't do what I always do and sell a team. I'm learning lessons this year. Don't panic. Shit gets better. It'll even out.
So who do the Broncos have this week?
We play Tom Brady's ass, and then here's the best thing about it. Tom Brady has a losing record against the Broncos. That's the only team he has a losing record against. He's going to win this week, and he's going to be 500 against the Broncos. So that kind of hurts a little bit.
It would be hilarious if they beat Tampa, because I don't know. I think I've gone full from being excited to see what Tampa can do to full hater mode. And, like, I don't know, maybe it's just a Tom Brady hater in me.
I'm full heel. Listen, if the Broncos beat Tampa on our Sunday night show, bro, I don't even know. I'm just telling you what, you'll probably see tears. You'll see a crazy man on here. I might do it shirtless. I don't even know what's going on.
So, yeah, I just let's wrap this up. I just want to say thanks for listening, watching, whatever platform you're on. If you're not in Schwen Sports, look us up on Facebook, join our group. It's a great place to get all the news, everything, great conversation. You'll see us popping around there. You can stop by, argue with us, comment, tell us what you want to hear on the show, ask your questions, your fantasy questions, anything like that. We're going to be trying to do this show.
I heard a secret about Schwen Sports. I heard there's like really good looking girls in there too, like just super hot chicks. So if you join, they'll probably like date you. I've heard that. I don't know where I heard that from. You should join.
You're right. All the hot mamas are out there. Yeah. You just got to find them with the right post. But yeah, we're trying to do a show every Friday and Monday. We're going to have some guests. We have guest plans, and we're still working out a little bit of the technical stuff, but we appreciate you listening, and we'll see you guys on Monday.